Welcome to TV Trash. Well, I had hoped to celebrate this holiday season by reviewing something a bit more positive and festive. Maybe have some fun with one of my favorite Rankin Bass specials. And then I found out they made another Home Alone movie. Joy to the frickin' world! Man, if there is ever anything that defines zombie franchise, how about one with a made-for-TV movie 10 years after the last awful made-for-TV movie? As you may be aware, a couple of years ago, I went after the 4th installment in the Home Alone series, a made-for-TV movie that had about as much to do with the original as Scott Sienson's comics had to do with the Silent Hill video games. Kevin had become a high-pitched, whiny dork whose parents were breaking up, his dad had become a gold digger, and oh yeah, we had French Stewart playing Marv pretending to be Harry. The film was a colossal flop. Its attempt to create a TV series from it, I wish I was kidding about that, failed miserably, and we had all thought this thing had been laid to rest. Nope! Because TV producers don't know when to let dead dogs lie, they dug this thing up again and made a 5th movie released in 2012. So prepare to get your holiday ruined all over again with Home Alone 5: The Holiday Heist. After a title sequence that looks even cheaper than the last movie, we open on the snow-covered landscape of Maine, where we meet the family we're unfortunately going to follow for this movie.
I cleared level 17!
Hey, Finn, press pause for a bit, why don't you, kiddo?
But this is a mega boss battle.
Oh, you look at that snow. Never got that in California.
That's Hollywood for you, thinking that California doesn't go any farther north than Bakersfield. Our main character is Finn, who is obsessed with video games, while his sister is always doing something on her smartphone, texting, tweeting, it's never made clear. So the family in this film has moved to Maine from the Golden State. A Home Alone movie that doesn't take place in suburban Chicago? John Hughes is rolling in his grave!
Okay, guys.
Dad,
What do you think?
it's super creepy.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what's creepier, the house or the dad with that look on his face. Maybe he just got possessed by whatever it is haunting the place. We then cut to this Snoop Dogg wannabe getting into a Rolls Royce that contains our villains of the film, the leader of which is named Sinclair, played by Malcolm McDowell. Geez, this guy must wake up every day asking why? Why did I agree to star in Caligula? Sinclair wants to break into the very house the family has moved into because it may contain this painting he's been obsessed with getting his whole life.
Sinclair, not again.
I have finally found her.
You say that every time. When we broke into the Boston Museum, when we broke into the Bank of London, when we broke into that llama farm in Peru.
Sounds like a wild goose chase to me. I'm out.
It's worth $85 million.
I mean, is what I meant to say.
We also find out that Sinclair's partner, Jessica, is still pining over this broken relationship she was in with their previous cohort. I'll bet that's a plot point, and I bet I won't care about it in the end.
This house just went on the market. If we hurry, we can get inside before anyone even moves in.
Oh, too late! Guess you'll have to try again another time. Movie over? As the family moves in, Finn dares to go down into the basement, and lo and behold, finds the bootleggers safe. Wow, way to spoil the suspense just 10 minutes into this thing. Also, lock you right? Really? We're supposed to believe that was an actual safe manufacturer in the Prohibition era? Then again, earlier the movie had to explain what a bootlegger was, so I'm guessing this film was made for the kindergartners. And in truth, even those kids would find this insulting to their intelligence.
So, what do you like to do for fun around here?
Lots of stuff.
Like what?
You know, build snowman, make snowballs, go snow sledding, design snow forts, go snow skiing, make snow angels, start a snow avalanche, wear snowshoes, play hide and go snow. Did I already say make snowballs?
I get it. But isn't there anything that doesn't involve snow?
We could make snow cones. Oh, wait.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not buying this. Maybe I'm from the last generation that wouldn't be that shallow, but I just find it hard to believe that any kid, especially one coming from Southern California, would be this nonchalant about being around snow for the first time. It comes off as an extremely forced way of trying to shove a preachy message about today's kids being deadened by video games, internet, and other modern forms of entertainment. Which again, the producers are trying to preach using a television movie.
Your house is haunted. That's why the last people moved out.
Haunted?
Yeah. Doors creak open, lights flash on and off for no reason. It's the ghost of a gangster who's murdered there. You can still hear him walking around, dragging his deformed leg across the floor, looking for revenge against anyone who tries to sleep. I'd like to hang out with you, but I'm too young to die.
Okay, were the writers making a Halloween movie and Fox just did some rewrites, slapped the Home Alone title on it, and delayed its release for 2 months? We get this exposition scene with the parents about how this move was all about the mom taking this new job that she fears she's gonna be disrespected at anyway, and how she fears the kids hate her now for doing so, and yet all I can think of while watching this is how cheap the producers were that they crammed these two into a twin-size bed instead of getting a queen-size.
But if I have to sleep in there all by myself, I'm taking precautions.
What in the world is going on?
I was trying to catch the ghost.
Oh, for God's sake.
The stun gun in a tent?
Okay, big issue number 1. What's the point of having the kids spring a trap this early in the film? It's like the producers had to move it up in the runtime to say, see, this is a Home Alone movie because the kid is setting a trap. See what I mean about these latest movies looking like they were written by Scott Siensen? Furthermore, the scenario for the setup doesn't work. Even when Kevin pulled stunts early in the first movies, like using that gangster film to trick the delivery guy and the burglars, it was done in a way that made him look clever. This just makes Finn look paranoid and thus justifiable that no one believes him. Needed for the plot, sure, but it makes him less sympathetic. So after a hilarious scene of the dad trying to work a snowblower, wonder if that's gonna come back in the plot, and the family heading downtown to get a tree, and it looking like maybe even these kids just might learn to like it here, we get the burglars' first attempt to break into the place, where they find the safe and crack it, but find nothing in it. Well, no need for them to check to see if it's a decoy or anything. They have to get out of the house as the family returns, and Sinclair discovers the family is going to a party tomorrow, hence the perfect time to try again, before he breaks his foot or something for another plot device. So the next day comes and the parents are getting ready for the party, but the kids don't want to go, and the mother actually has the biggest fit of them all.
Yeah, you want to stay home? Stay home.
Okay.
But there are some terms and conditions. First of all, Alexis, you are babysitting Finn.
Wait, hold on. Works for me.
And no video games.
Mom!
No games, no TV, no music, no phone.
Well, you probably want to leave with a phone.
These are my rules, no phone.
Emergencies.
Thank you, honey. Okay.
Way to be the mature one, Ma!
You're on your own, weirdo. You leave me alone, I leave you alone. That's the deal.
What? But you took my game controller. What am I supposed to do?
I don't care. Whatever you want. We're home alone.
And so naturally, we now have to shoehorn in the scene of Finn taking advantage of being home alone and his sister paying him no attention by just acting like a hyperactive jerk. spoiler alert, that won't be the only time they poo on the original. And yes, Kevin did this whole I'll do whatever I want thing in the original, but that eventually built into character development because he was left alone for days, meaning he had to learn responsibility. We know the parents here will only be gone for hours, so there isn't that much time, meaning this is just showing our main character being a brat. Heck, we get more development for Sinclair, as it turns out the painting they're searching for is a portrait of his great-grandmother, and it was apparently stolen by the bootlegger who used to own the house, which is why Sinclair wants it back. Wow, movie, you have actually given the villain a more sympathetic story than the protagonist. First-grade English students are shaking their heads at you. Meanwhile, the parents end up stuck at the party because of a snowstorm and are probably thinking the kids were better off not coming because the boss is completely sloshed and making a fool of himself. And he's played by Ed Asner.
For how long?
Good question, Carla.
Oh, it's Catherine, actually.
I have no idea. But the good news is there's plenty more adult eggnog, right?
Maybe if I keep picturing Lou Grant threatening to punch his face out. While all this goes on, Kevin finds his other controller, but needs new batteries that fall into the basement, and this ultimately leads to him and Sis finding the now open safe and discovering, surprise, surprise, it has a false wall to a secret room where the painting is. Yes, the kids, who had no idea about the house's history, find the secret hooch vault of the old bootlegger that Sinclair couldn't find, despite him knowing the house was owned by a bootlegger, meaning he should have been looking for a hideout. You know, we're about halfway through this movie, so just so I know, are we gonna have much more stupid coming forth in this thing? Okay, I'm gonna go make some eggnog laced with liquid IQ to get through this thing. We'll be right back. Okay, I think we're good to go now, so where were we again? Sis pulls a trap wire that gets her locked in the secret room while Finn gets back to his video games and finally meets the guy who keeps beating him at said games.
Whoa. How old are you, dude?
10.
Man, I thought you were this other guy I play with. If I'd known you were just a kid, I wouldn't have overkilled you so many times.
So what if I'm 10?
No, you rock, dude. You're good. You just need to learn to conserve your ammo.
Well, at least he's a more likable, obsessed gamer than that turd from the South Park Warcraft episode. After driving away the burglars using the light trick from the first movie, Finn finally finds out Sis is trapped and goes all the way to the hardware store to try and buy a whole mess of supplies to break open the safe using his parents' checkbook. Yeah, I doubt half the audience this thing was made for even knows what a checkbook is. And then he runs into Sinclair and discovers he's been the one that's been outside the house. But thanks to all of his wolf crying from before, his sister doesn't believe him, so he has to go to his new online buddy, who naturally thinks he's talking about a video game, and yet somehow this gets him the inspiration to set up the traps in the house. The good news is we get a lot more traps than in the fourth movie. The bad news is they're almost all the same traps from the first, or just variations on the same. It's like someone watched a Home Alone marathon on a bender and suddenly said, "Hey, I'll combine all of these to make one solo movie and it'll be awesome!" And this basically shows why I said all the way back in the previous review how there didn't need to be multiple Home Alone movies in the first place. The original story is too standalone. Every movie series essentially has the same basic plot in each entry. Superheroes save the world from evil, time travelers either change or protect history, but those story engines are large enough to create good enough variations. There just isn't much to expand on the idea of kid is by himself and has to thwart crooks, so the subsequent movies come off as extremely repetitive and diluted. Now, maybe I'm overreacting and this is just meant to be some modern-day homage to the original.
Come on, you two. Just focus here.
Right.
We're not a bunch of two-bit bandits. We're not going to be stymied by a slippery walkway.
Marv and Harry had half their neighborhood burglarized before Kevin thwarted them. What's your resume like, Jack?
What are you looking at?
My childhood being defecated on? Now, I'll admit the second trap in the garage is pretty creative. It's nice to see the crook notices all the balls blatantly spilled out on the floor, only to have closing the door activate the snowblower and have it shoot them at the guy. Unfortunately, the remaining traps, yeah, it's like been there, done that. Two-thirds of the way into the film, people finally start growing brains as the sis realizes there might actually be thieves after the painting, while the friend realizes Finn wasn't talking about a game. So now, how do we get it so they can't do the sensible thing and call the police? How about one of the most overused plot devices of the 20th century?
Did you hear me?
Your phone's dead. You really should get better about charging it.
The mom finally breaks and demands her boss find a way to get them home, and it's as they're getting there that the friend gets their number to try and warn the parents, but his call doesn't go well.
How do you know my son?
It's complicated, actually. We met online, and,
What?
Okay, so that came out wrong.
Well, who is this, and how did you get this number?
I hacked Finn's gamertag, and I got your info from the credit card statement. I'm worried something bad is gonna happen to him.
You threatening my son?
What? What? No, look, hi, my name is Simon Hassler, and your daughter is locked in the basement.
You kidnapped my kids?
What? No.
Oh God, there's more stupid in here than in the Dallas Cowboys war room on draft day. And to drive that point home, the cops send the SWAT team to the guy's house instead of Finn's, while he just went back to playing his games instead of maybe calling the cops in Maine. See, every plot device in this movie happens for the same reason. Everyone's a moron! Finally, the thieves catch Finn and decide the best thing to do is lock him in their truck with Jessica standing guard and the window rolled down.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
And then, ultimate plot convenience, the guy she's been pining about calls her, and this is when that kid across the street decides to chip in with a snowball fight. Where does the boyfriend's call fit in? Nowhere! Just there for another pointless, mistaken dialogue joke.
I just want to say that... oh! Get lost, you little monster! Wait, Steve! No! Oh! Beat it! Wait, no, not you!
You know, it's one thing to keep drawing from the cliche jar, but when you put one back so you can draw it again, maybe you should rethink your career choice. To sum this up, the others crack the safe, but the sister tricks them using the same trap that got her locked inside, while the friend and the SWAT guys watch like it's a movie, and the parents arrive home just as the police finally arrive at the right place. I guess this police force is where they get most of the TSA officers.
Guys, come on, not again.
I had my Gigi. I had her in my hands.
Yeah, well, she's gone. So, get over it.
Maybe you'll get the same cell block as the Wet Bandits. They could use some people to ridicule. So the family gets a reward for catching the crooks. They use the money to help the gamer spend Christmas with his family. There's this whole thing about how they all learn to mix video game time with snow time, which I guess is a good message. And the movie ends with the three stooges getting their mug shots that likely still look better than their driver license photos. Ugh, this movie was harder to get through than 3 straight hours of neighborhood carolers. Okay, it's not as bad as the 4th one, which surprised the heck out of me, but it's still completely forgettable. The setup for why the kids are home alone is really thin, and that's saying something for this series. The kids themselves don't get any real development until the end. Pretty much every character is either an idiot or a jerkass or both, and the whole thing comes off as a really cheap attempt to duplicate the original in a more modern, realistic setting, which seems to be too much of a trend going on nowadays. You may all think I'm whining about this, but just you wait until they try to remake Christmas Vacation. Happy holidays and see you next time on TV Trash. Well guys, it was a nice place while it lasted. We never did build that trans-dimensional portal. Will we still get internet? I need my grumpy cat fix. Yeah, well, there's no point in dwelling on the past. We got a lot of new adventures coming in the future, I'm sure. And I'm definitely sure there's a lot of bad TV shows for us to review in them.